Hello, everybody. This is Herbalist
Natalie.
Herbalist Leilah.
And we're coming to you from the Herb Stop. We're in part 2 now of our little series. So we're celebrating our 32nd anniversary, 32 years in business.
32 years, yes.
This Saturday. So we'll be having a big party and a sale and giveaways and
have fun, good conversations.
Yeah. And so we thought we would lead up to our fun event by doing a couple videos about us. And so one of the things that we thought we would talk about is herbal medicine throughout the years. So since we've been around for over 3 decades now, kind of how things have changed since we started the Herb Stop.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's just start with maybe like the 90s.
Yes.
So when we first opened, what were the most popular things?
Okay, so we opened the store in 1992, and I remember my first herb order. Now, just the bulk herbs, because we used to have this beautiful wall with all bulk herbs. It was 120 herbs, so I had 120 jars. And they were all popular herbs, but some of them really stand out still today. And the first one is sarsaparilla. Actually, maybe I shouldn't start with that. The number one was actually echinacea. Echinacea was everybody. You could cure everything with echinacea. I remember that. And for everything. I mean, anywhere from colds to infected toenails.
Yeah.
And
snake bites.
Yeah. And then research, of course, more and more research is being done on herbs. So they found out that actually, if you have an immune system problem, like an autoimmune, not to take echinacea, where people were taking echinacea for that. And then they said, oh, you shouldn't be doing echinacea more than 10 days, and so on and on. And then so the glory of echinacea faded.
Yes. So I think, one of the important things to remember is always, when some science comes out or somebody famous discovers an herb, and I still see this today, like with moringa and a few other things, that it can cure everything.
Yes.
So it's not just for, what it's supposed to be used, but, you could use it for this and this and this. It becomes almost like a panacea, which I've always had a problem with. Like, I like to know more, like, historically what it's been used for.
Yeah.
So what the indigenous people of whatever area it's from have used it for. And then throughout history, kind of how it's grown. And so with echinacea is a very effective herb. There's been a lot of research done on how it gets the immune system going, fighting, but maybe not every day. Yes, overstimulating your immune system is never a good thing.
Yeah.
And an autoimmune condition is typically because your immune system is overactive. So it looks at your body as an invader, and so you don't want to stimulate that even more. So echinacea definitely has its uses, and it's still extremely effective. It's just, at that time, everybody wanted echinacea and high doses. And
the nice thing is that a lot of scientists, or I don't know whether they study all of this, but a lot of science is behind how these herbs work. And it's always very hard when you work with nature to really find out how does nature work. And then you think, you've got it all. I understand echinacea is good for everything. And then it's, oops, no, we're wrong about that. And we've seen that over the years. But anyway, so the next one was St. John's wort.
Oh, yes.
That was a big controversy, and you remember that, right?
I do. That was, in the mid-90s, the DSHEA, Dietary Supplement Health Safety Act, I think is what it was called, was passed. So they were thinking about actually taking herbs off the market, which was a scary moment. And after that act was passed, also standardization came into play. And so standardization means that you isolate an active component, and you basically make every capsule, every batch of herbs the same, which is what they do with drugs, of course. And nature is not like that. So they started with St. John's wort as I think the first herb they started playing with standardization. It was either that or ginkgo, I can't remember. And one of the most important constituents in St. John's wort. By the way, I'm not a big fan of standardization.
Neither am I.
Yeah, so I think as long as you
don't like the fact that you're taking an herb and you start mutilating it in an laboratory.
Yeah.
And you're taking things out or you're adding things. I don't like that. I prefer to go out in the garden and pick it myself.
Nature is always perfect. I think where you can avoid like issues with constituents is by buying high quality herbs.
Right.
So if something has been sitting in a shipping container for 6 months, it's not good.
The active component may not be.
Yeah, and so that's why we like bulk herbs and why we make everything in house.
Yeah.
But with St. John's Wort, I think they were isolating just hypericin, and then people started getting sunburnt, stomach ulcers, all different kinds of things.
So there were side effects.
Yeah, which we had never really seen before, and actually in the 90s. People would say like, "Oh, herbs, you could take whatever you want."
Yeah, they're placebos.
Yeah.
I remember people would come to the store and say, "Oh, they're placebo. You are, what is it called, a snake oil, salesperson, and they don't work." And all of a sudden, 10 years, 15 years later,
they're too strong.
Coming in, say, "Oh, I have to be really careful. I've never heard of that." So that was interesting, a big change.
Yeah, that was a big change. Yeah. So anyway, with the St. John's Wort, they realized that there's also another constituent, hyperforum. And so, it was kind of unknown. And I still feel like now there's not 100% accuracy in standardization. So I prefer just high quality.
Yes. Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
what else was popular?
The other one was Pau d'Arco.
No, that was more...
Was it?
Wasn't it? No, you're right. That was in the 90s.
I remember because we had just moved to Arizona. I had bought Pau d'Arco. Everybody's talking about that. And I said, "Oh, maybe I should try that." And I felt terrible. I drink a cup of tea and a little bit later, an hour later, I would be so tired and I didn't feel good. But everybody was raving about. So I just came to the conclusion not every herb, it's like in everything, is not good for the whole world.
Sure.
So for me, it just didn't work. But it worked for a lot of people, and for Candida, I remember it was used for.
Still.
And it was very popular. So is it still popular today?
It's not as popular. We definitely have some diehard Pau d'Arco fans for sure, but not as popular. I think it's more specific. I find that it's beneficial for like Candida, yeast infections, things like that. I do find that it's better than just like something you do every day.
Yeah, we still have it, and it's not as popular, but it's still around.
Yeah.
The other one was alfalfa. So alfalfa was known, everybody was telling alfalfa, you get all the nutrients that you need. Every vitamin, every mineral is in alfalfa. Yeah. And so that was a big, people that didn't want to take the vitamins, supplements that are really not really.
There's a lot of information coming out that people are being aware of. Why we've always said use herbs as opposed to just supplements, because they don't always come from the nicest place.
Yes. Supplements don't come from a field or your garden. They are made in laboratories.
Yeah.
So anyway,
from
people,
some pretty nasty things too.
Yes. And so anyway, so people were, and they swore by it. They felt much better. And still today, it's still very popular. Yep. The other one was sarsaparilla. That's what I started with. And oh my gosh, it was so popular. It gives strength. Men love it. Also bodybuilders. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we would run into trouble. I remember when I lived in Canada, there was an athlete. I don't know if it was in Olympics or where, but an athlete, he was caught with high steroids in his system. Mm-hmm. And he says he didn't take any drugs, and he only had a sarsaparilla drink. And there goes the sarsaparilla, no more. Yeah. I don't know if you can explain a little better.
I mean, that's, I think, pretty clear, but I like sarsaparilla a lot. Mm-hmm. So I find that it's
a comeback again.
Yeah, I think so. It does have steroid-like properties, so it's excellent for like inflammatory conditions, but also excellent for like testosterone building. Mm-hmm. And so I think like hormone balancing, I should say, that was a claim, sorry. Yeah. But I think sarsaparilla, definitely has its uses. Yeah. I think it's good.
So
okay, let's move to the 2000s.
Yeah, of course there's many more. It's really hard to pick. I was looking at the wall, which one should I pick? But the ones that come first. Okay. So maybe we should go quicker, huh?
Yes, maybe.
Okay, so the ginkgo. So people call it, it's not ginkgo, it's ginkgo biloba.
Which is the whole Latin name for ginkgo.
Yeah.
And so we use common names typically. Most herbalists and most people, they use common names. Yes. So you know, we call it sarsaparilla, not smilax media, you know, so it's...
we don't have to impress you.
Yeah, and so, you know, hearing ginkgo biloba, it always kind of like made me smile a little bit.
The other one that absolutely I loved in 2000 as I was going through menopause, Throught. Actually, it used to be called Siberian ginseng.
Yep.
So we sold it as Siberian ginseng. It was excellent. It gave me energy, mental focus. It was really wonderful.
A lot of our customers come in and say, I need my happy pill.
Yeah, it's called a happy pill. Actually, it worked really, really good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I came out the news that we can no longer call it Siberian ginseng because it's not a true ginseng.
Yep.
So it was a little bit political. But anyway, it's still around.
Yeah.
The next one is kava kava. Maybe.
Oh boy, yeah, kava kava was a huge thing in the 2000s. Everybody wanted kava. So kava is actually a narcotic analgesic. So it makes you numb and a little goofy.
It makes you tongue numb.
Well, it also makes you numb
Oh.
in general. So kava kava is a ceremonial drink. So to me, those types of herbs should be respected, not just taken every day. But that's a personal opinion, of course. But what was bad about kava kava is it's addictive. And also you build a tolerance quickly. So you go from 2 capsules to 3 capsules to 4 capsules. And then you want more and more and more of it. And kava kava, when you're not careful, it can cause liver damage in too high quantities. As well as if you're not using the root, if you're using different parts. And it's a little bit of a tricky one. We don't even sell kava kava. Our insurance company, our insurance company won't cover kava kava because if you take kava and drive a car, you can actually get pulled over and have a DUI because it's a narcotic.
And dilates your pupils.
Yeah, it dilates your pupils, so which you can't get away from.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that was really popular for a while. We were trying to, teach people about valerian and some other safer options. And that kind of, I think probably because insurance companies and the liver damage and things like that wouldn't cover it anymore. So it just kind of, some people still come in looking for it, but it's just not as popular.
Okay, so the next one is, I have a whole list here, so I'll just pick what comes up. The odorless garlic.
Oh boy.
The odorless garlic, and some people swear by it. You can take garlic and then you don't smell. But then scientists have found out that actually that odor,
allicin
that's the specific constituent. That's the one that will have a beneficial effect.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, so allicin is released when you cut garlic and it starts dissipating immediately. So you have to freeze dry garlic.
Yeah.
But with garlic, odorless garlic, I don't know how it's effective because there's no allicin.
Yeah. So now we don't really sell it anymore, do we?
I've never sold odorless garlic.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
If everyone took garlic, we'd all smell that way.
That's right. Okay, so we talked about in the 1990s about echinacea.
Yep.
So now we have to find some sort of a substitute. People come, well, what can I do for my immune system?
Building
the immune system.
Yes.
Not necessarily if you have a cold and you take echinacea, but how come? Because people are taking echinacea to build their immune system, to have a better defense system. And so we, herbalists generally use astragalus. Astragalus is, you can make soups with it, you can take it in capsules, just incorporate into your daily life. And that was very popular too.
Yeah, boost your T cell count, and there's not really any negative effects of astragalus as far as I know. And I do have autoimmune, and I can take astragalus, no problem. So
people also like it when they're fatigued, so it helps build
adrenal function. So adrenal fatigue and things like that. That also in the 2000s, the beginning of the 2000s, that was also when we started seeing herbs from all over the world showing up.
That's right. Yes.
And so we started seeing more Chinese herbs, more Ayurvedic Indian herbs, South American herbs, rainforest herbs. Things coming kind of like from all over the place, Japanese herbs, like all over the place. They started coming in. And so that was actually a really cool period.
It was interesting,
So we got to kind of expand and see like, these other cultures, this is fabulous.
Yes, it was interesting. I have many stories about when these come in.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's usually, people that would walk into the store and tell us about, did you know that in Ayurveda they have this herb and it does this and that?
Yep.
And I remember it was Suma.
Suma,
yeah.
Fafia.
So now fast forward to 2010.
Well, the teens.
Teens.
Tens. I don't know what the right word is there. The tens. Yeah.
Okay. So that was maca, still very popular.
Maca is very popular. Everybody loves maca. That's the
Not everybody. I don't like maca.
Yeah. Okay, so here's like another reason why we kind of learn through people. Our customers are the best education tool, I think.
Yeah.
And we have discovered with maca that people that are extroverts love maca. Yeah. I love maca. People that are introverts, it gives them anxiety.
Yeah.
And so we've discovered that kind of over the years. So if you ever come in for maca, that's usually the first thing we ask you.
Yes, you like to be out there in the world and need more energy. Maca is fantastic for you.
Yeah, hormone boosting, all of those things. So, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah, one of my favorite herbs is Osha. Osha is it's a root, and it really is very effective for colds and flus.
Claim.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I didn't say that. Okay, yeah. That's okay.
Supports a healthy immune response.
Yeah, okay. You know that language. Every time that Natalie writes a label, she has to go to the FDA website to make sure we are in compliance with what we're allowed to tell you.
Yeah. We're not allowed to make claims. We're not doctors, pharmacists, nurses.
No. So anyway, Osha, it's the only thing now. It's just very, very expensive, and it's hard to get because it is the way that it has been harvested.
Yeah.
So it has to be wildcrafted. So somebody goes out there and, makes sure that you leave enough roots back in the soil so that it can regrow. But a lot of people don't know that, so they just rake everything out and it doesn't regrow.
Osha
so it's a main problem.
But Osha also looks like
hemlock.
So you have to be really careful because it's being wild harvested.
Yes.
So it's not like people are growing it from seed. So it has to be tested.
But it's easy to identify.
Sure.
The scent of Osha is so strong, not like hemlock.
Plus, also, I think doesn't it have dots, spots in the root, hemlock, and Osha does not.
Yeah, you need to.
The first time we ordered Osha, I remember it was an expensive herb. It was $28 a pound.
Yes.
Whew, was that ever pricey?
Yeah.
Now we buy Osha for over $210 a pound.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. Way over.
Yeah. Of course, the number one actually is
turmeric.
Turmeric.
Yeah, turmeric. We've heard it all. Yeah.
Yeah. We know what you mean.
Yeah. That's very popular. Still extremely popular today. I would say it's one of our biggest sellers.
Yeah.
It has been there's so much research on it for inflammatory conditions. It's incredible. Plus it's yummy. I like turmeric.
I'm sure you've heard turmeric. Yes.
Yep. Okay, let's go to the 2020s.
20s, oh my gosh, yes. Okay, what's your favorite? I have written...
My favorite written down there is probably ashwagandha.
Yes, me too.
Love ashwagandha. It's an Ayurvedic Indian herb.
The frisky horse.
Yes, in Sanskrit. But the research on ashwagandha is incredible, how it manages cortisol levels. Mm-hmm. And we live in a highly stressful time. So anything that helps manage cortisol, I think, is very effective. One of the nice things about ashwagandha is it produces dreamless sleep.
Yes.
And so when you are an active dreamer, sometimes you wake up tired. Mm-hmm. Like I've been running all night long.
Yes.
And so ashwagandha can help you with dreamless sleep.
Yeah.
But it's an adaptogen. So if you take it in the morning, it actually gives you energy.
So it's really a very interesting herb. Actually, I heard an Ayurvedic doctor explained it, and he said, when do you tell somebody to take ashwagandha? I said, if somebody can't sleep, they really don't get a restful sleep, and they fidget all the time. They're always moving their legs, and they just cannot relax. The ashwagandha is specifically for people like that.
Yeah, high stress.
They just can never, their legs are moving all the time. And
we used to always give it for debilitated people that have been through chronic illness. Yeah. So that's probably the cortisol part of it now that there's more science.
Yes, more science,
Yeah. And I think after that, probably Irish moss.
Irish moss, yes.
Yeah, everybody, sea moss. I think we've heard the word sea moss thousands of times.
We had such a hard time getting it, too.
We did for a while
we want to make sure
during COVID.
Organic.
Yeah, so these seaweeds, they when they're organic, they have to go out in a rowboat. So you can't take a ship out there, a boat out there that's going to put gasoline in the water because the seaweed is going to pick that up. So like a lot of, like our kelp is in a small fjord. So it's an organic area. They have to be lime dried instead of dried on the sand, so they're not moldy. Yeah. It's a little bit more complicated. Irish moss usually comes from Canada. So the water's fairly clean up there, clean. And it's just good. It's good, for thyroid support. It's good for your skin. your digestive system. I mean, I could go on and on about Irish moss.
I'm just so grateful. In 1992, we found some excellent wholesaler for herbs.
Sources, yeah.
Sources, actually, one of them is a co-op. And it's really wonderful because we knew these people. They visited us. We visited them. They had Herb Fest. We would go to these. So it's really nice to have rapport and transparency, we call it today.
Yeah.
And, so we're still dealing with these people, and they're still around, and they're growing like we are. So it's really wonderful. So it's really easy to know. I can call them directly. We got an herb, we're not really sure, is that the leaf or is it the root?
Which we've had to do before.
Which we had to do. We all make mistakes. But then here we are on the receiving end, so we have to double check again. And so it's really nice. I'm so grateful we found all these people.
Definitely.
32 years ago.
Yes.
And they're already in business.
Yep. The last one, I know this is like a 20-minute video now, so I'm sorry, but we went a little bit over.
Yeah.
The last one I think that's important for the 2020s are mushrooms.
Oh my gosh.
People are obsessed with mushrooms, and for good reason. Mushrooms are pretty incredible. Lion's mane has changed people's lives. Reishi has done some pretty incredible things. Turkey tail is another one that's wildly popular and frankly rather incredible.
Yeah. What is really nice, in our situation, we get feedback.
Yes.
Because, you see things.
From you?
From you, yes. Because you see things are advertised, and sometimes we say, that doesn't work, why do they sell that? That doesn't work. But with mushrooms, my gosh, people come back, it changes their lives. It's amazing.
I think what's awesome about mushrooms too is the food.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of interactions that, you have to be watchful for, and there'll probably be some for mushrooms. I'm not saying everyone should take them, but it's food.
Yes,
so,
it's food,
if somebody hasn't told you, like you can buy lion's mane and cook it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember growing up as a child in Switzerland. In the fall, that's when usually the mushrooms grow because there's a lot of moisture. And that's where, we go and harvest all the mushrooms, and we make these mushroom dishes. And usually it's the whole of October, because then November is too cold. And that's the only time really we would eat mushroom to that extent. So now I'm just thinking, I don't know, I'm not so sure you should take mushrooms forever, every day, forever and ever and ever. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, so far people have good results, which is important.
Yep.
Until we have a new herb that will be 2030.
Yep, in the 30s. We'll see what comes then, what will be popular.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. What do you guys think? What's going to be popular in 10 years?
Upcoming. Maybe we're going back again to the old herbs like red clover, oat straw, these
goodies.
The old European herbs.
Yeah.
So one of the things actually I want to mention, if there's anybody out there who wants to do that, but when we go for hikes in the desert, we see all these herbs that are so powerful because the desert, living in the desert is very harsh. So these plants have adapted to these incredible changes, from day to night. And so there's not enough research. I remember Michael Moore, the herbalist, Michael Moore, he did some, investigating about these southwestern herbs specifically. But I think they are very powerful. We just need somebody to do the research. And
like chaparral.
Yeah, because I think it would be always better to eat the food as well as the herbs that's right around you, that grows right around you.
Definitely.
So we'll see.
That'd be cool. Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Again, sorry about the long length, but we had fun traveling back in history.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard sometimes to cut it short.
It is. Yep. All right, guys.
Okay.
Bye.